What happens when a young QB challenges the traditions of the NFL? And yeah, we're talking about the NFL versus Shedeur Sanders.
He's been surrounded by celebrities
His entire life.
He's gonna have a different mindset.
Every boy, as a young man, wants to be like their father.
These young kids these days are getting millions of dollars.
I felt like they understood Shedeur had the money. They let him slide so far.
Guys who made the NFL, this is their league. They're the ones who branded, marketed, did all this, and put all the money. They did the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
You just brought the sweat.
Yeah.
That's what you did. You're the labor force.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to episode 3 of the Real Rivals podcast. And last episode, we talked about a couple of things. But before we go into this new episode, I am your boy, Chef Kev.
Fonz B.
And we are the Rivals podcast. So we got a good one for you today. Because what happens when a young QB with swagger, black, challenges the traditions of the NFL? And yeah, we're talking about the NFL versus Shedeur Sanders on his journey, his impact, and what's all the noise around his NFL future, because it's still to be told. It still has not been written. The man has not had one snap, but we'll go right into it. So what's your thoughts?
Well, I think you got to first talk about, you said
The history.
go against tradition.
Tradition.
What tradition?
But before we even talk about that, let's talk about who is Shedeur Sanders. I know
He's the son of Deion Sanders, Hall of Fame cornerback. Was very good.
great college stat, Jackson State, black owned. I said a black owned.
HBCU.
HBCU. He transferred to Colorado.
I think they won 2 championships too, right?
No, they went to a championship. I think they
won
may have
one.
won the last one. Yeah. Called the SEAC, because I can't keep up with the name of the conference, but they did win
Definitely
something.
win one.
So they went to Colorado.
And Deion changed that whole program around.
Yeah, so before he got to Colorado, just to give you guys a good backstory, Colorado was a 1-win team.
Well, I think Jackson State was too.
And Jackson State never had any winning. They always were known for losing. But Deion came in, turned the entire culture, shifted the culture.
With his celebrity
Yep.
and fame.
And used his marketing ability to bring noise and notoriety to the school. And ultimately, that means dollars.
Well, it's power too.
Yeah. So I feel like Deion had a lot of power, but he also had a lot of ownership too, because he speaks on ownership. And that's ownership of his brand, his likeliness, we can go dig deep into that. Deion impact with Nike and how much he owns Phil and Deion fell out years ago, and they got back close when he was in Jackson State, and he reignited the whole shoe deal just off of his ability to be who he is.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So his backstory, Shedeur's backstory was that, but then dig deeper, his playing style. I kind of compare it to a little bit like Dak Prescott a little bit. What you think?
Nah, I think he's just a good quarterback.
Okay. I mean, it's to be so. It's to be told. He's got to show.
Like quarterbacks don't really have much of styles. They throw the ball, or they're a scrambler. They're fast, or they're slow.
I don't agree. I was a quarterback in school, and
he's not Michael Vick.
He's not Michael Vick, but I like the reason why I say quarterbacks have a style is because you got Kyler Murray, you got Dak Prescott, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Deshaun Watson. Totally different style.
They all can be scramblers. We don't have sit in the pocket passers.
Peyton Mannings and Tom Brady.
Yeah,
no.
because now the quarterback position has pivoted
Evolved,
to young black quarterbacks.
Yes.
So that brings a different element to it.
Those 4 that I named, all black quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So that goes into, let's discuss the biggest picture that most people don't like to give credit to. They talk about Shedeur's arrogance. They talk about Shedeur's NIL deals, how he has the money and the media presence and flexing with the confidence, his signature. He flexes with his Rolex and all that. I don't have a problem with that, because ultimately It's his brand. It's who he is. He's creating a persona. That's what's selling.
Well, here's what people are not used to, right? You said the background of Shedeur.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he grew up with a rich dad,
Yep.
a Hall of Fame dad.
Who was even more of a showboat.
Right.
And had arrogance.
But look, he's been surrounded by celebrities.
His entire life.
His entire life. He's been surrounded by this certain world.
Yep.
Lifestyle.
That's true.
Okay?
Yep.
So therefore, he's going to have a different mindset. Whereas before other players, they come from poverty.
Right.
They come from trauma.
But
they come from trying to make it out.
But talk about that, because coming from all those things he came from, think about the most important piece to that. Every boy as a young man wants to be like their father.
Yeah.
So when people see where he came from, you can't really be upset, because if you go and look at his history, look at his father.
Yeah.
His father was not liked by the NFL. His father was not liked by, I hate to use this black versus white thing, but white media. And they didn't like the level of confidence that he exuded.
But like we talked about with Jordan, he was so dominant.
That's the part that I love to talk about. If you can do all of that and don't do nothing on the field, then I'll be a little bit more like, But because he can do that and still kill on the field,
yeah.
The
story with Deion is that he showed up to Combine Day in a limousine with all his gold chains, everything.
Yep.
Got out, ran a 4.240
and went back in,
left and left.
He did his job.
Yeah. So now that's not cockiness, arrogance. I don't know what it. Now Shedeur is not that.
No, but when you look at that, it's like y'all getting mad that he can do his job in style just because you show up and clock in and you don't have style.
But the thing though, to with Shedeur, they didn't dominate.
True.
Now, if Colorado had been to a bowl game,
like we talking about a national championship,
or something like that,
there's nothing you can say about that.
No one's saying nothing.
You can't say nothing.
Of course, he
didn't live up to the hype. They felt like, he's too this.
Yeah, he's
and
too
now
that. You can make up any story that you want.
There was a poem years ago. I can't remember the artist, but it was entitled "Too Black." It said, "My confidence can be taken as conceited. They call my uniqueness strange. They call my language slang." It goes back to that.
Yeah, because we have been conditioned and programmed.
Yeah,
like black people over here and white people over here. White people are supposed to have this. Black people are supposed to have this. Black people are supposed to. You got to work for. You got to earn this. It's already gifted to this particular group.
And you use a great word, condition, because that's a mindset. That's not something that you can't develop that skill. It's through time or the people that passed it down. Mm-hmm. So it's something that we always had to overcome. So how the NFL historically responds to the big personalities before they even get played down has always been
here's the
controversial.
Here's the thing about that. And this is kind of a universal law. If you're going to be that big, flamboyant.
The HNIC.
I think of Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather was a perfect example.
50-0.
But he talked the talk, but he walked the walk.
Yep.
Muhammad Ali.
Same thing.
He was the most hated man in America at one point.
Yeah.
But what was he doing?
Knocking dudes out.
Knocking them out. Left and right. And he said what he was going to do, but he did it.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference.
Yeah.
And that crosses color lines.
True.
That's just who you are as a person.
Yeah, that's like, I'm just somebody who...
If you say I'm going to do it...
I'm going to do it. But not just do it, but do it to the highest level.
Another thing people don't understand about, let's say, somebody like Floyd Mayweather, he talks so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
While he talking, when he done talking, now he working.
Yeah, he
working harder than anyone.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Shedeur got that.
So even though I'm on Shedeur's side in this situation, I still feel like, there's a lot given. So he has blurred those lines of the condition. He's got a little bit of that giftedness to him from being inherited all this wealth and all this stuff. Right. He has worked a little bit for it. But where is the grit and the hard work? Is that there? Because I know Deion's a dog, but is he going to be that dog? And that's to be proven, unfortunately.
We don't know that.
But the history of the NFL, how they have handled past quarterbacks like Johnny Manziel, white guy, act black, love doing.
But I don't like when people say act.
Because he used to act
hold on.
like the dude who
But what I don't like though,
lived in the hood, who
I don't
hung
like
around
when
a lot
people
of black
say
kids.
act black. Like what does
Why
that
not?
mean?
Well, when you act
Because
black,
when people say act black, you right away say, oh, there's an ignorance to that. As opposed to when you say act
No.
white.
some stuff can be ignorant without saying it. Like Johnny Manziel, doing coke, banging white
that's
chicks.
acting black?
No, doing coke, banging white chicks, wearing gold chains, and getting drunk and getting arrested.
That's acting black. Getting arrested.
That was acting black in college.
Okay, think about what you just said.
It sounds ignorant, but that was the ignorance that he was doing.
But then you said acting black.
Well, he used to try to act black. I didn't say what
Anyway,
he
you
did.
just did it again.
Was black.
No. Acting black.
Oh my God.
Going to jail. Getting drunk. Getting high. That's not acting black.
It's not acting black, but a lot of black people do it.
Listen, no.
Shit.
Ninjas do that.
Okay.
And I'm using ninjas.
I know.
And use the other word.
I
Because I don't
understand.
use that word.
I understand. But my thing is, I've always been big on if an apple is shaped like an apple, whether it's green or red, and you bite into it and it's still an apple, it's an apple. I'm just saying, Johnny did some of the things that a lot of black men have made bad decisions, did. So that was one person, Cam Newton.
Well,
And then I know, but then I'm going to name another one who the NFL didn't like their big personality, Baker Mayfield. So those three alone, they hated how they carried themselves as athletes. And I think that's the level of
I didn't hear a lot about Baker Mayfield was a lottery pick, wasn't he?
No, Baker Mayfield was a draft pick. He was a top pick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was a top pick. But
I think he was a bust too.
so is a good friend of mine, so I can't say that. I know him personally, so I ain't gonna bash him. At some point he did bust, and now he's got his redemption road. So I'll just say that. But those guys I named, they kind of exuded that same level of confidence. And this whole wait your turn culture, like, does Shedeur's confidence disrupt the old guard of the Shield, the NFL? Does it disrupt it? Or is it too loud? Is it too big? What is it?
Well, again, that remains to be seen because now he has to come in and he has to gang bust.
And that's where the skill come in.
He has to perform.
So it's the hype.
Now, if he doesn't perform, now those other people are going to look like geniuses. Yeah, we knew it.
I knew it. This is why I didn't draft him.
Yeah.
So I am on the side of the entire America where I feel like, and even before we recorded this, you and your wife were talking about it. Tanya was like, look, I don't understand this side. And you're like, I don't understand this side. But one point she did make was the confidence can definitely get confused with arrogance because of his level of loud boldness and just I love it, but at the same time, it can hurt you.
Yeah, there is something to that. Because
It's like the hype versus the skill.
you got to remember, these young kids these days are getting millions of dollars. So he was already rich.
That's the
so
number
you
one
give
reason.
someone a lot of money too fast,
True.
there's a responsibility that they haven't lived to learn how to carry.
So I'm glad you said that. In the NFL draft, if anybody is not familiar with it, the number one draft pick gets $40 million deal for 4 years. The number 2, the number 3, the number 4, somewhere around the 20 to 30. Anything past 10, it starts to slide.
I think
into
the number one gets like $100 million.
No, it's around 40.
Million.
It's a 40-year.
I think it's 40-year guarantee.
Yeah, guaranteed. But you start to slide as you get further in the draft. So my point in saying that was, I felt like they understood Shedeur had the money. They understood he didn't need the money. So I felt like they let him slide so far to where they don't have to give him a guaranteed contract, a guaranteed position, and he has to work for it. So that's where I believe the whole skill versus hype comes in. And we start talking about the game tape analysis. Like, what makes him legit? Does he need to do more work or what? I don't know. Can he ball? I've seen him do it in college, but I also seen him hold on to the ball a lot. It's just, it remains to be seen type thing. Right now, it's just all speculation.
The point of the whole thing, like, I think people were too invested in it.
I said that too. Like, I feel like it was being rode on so long for no reason. Like,
people are too invested in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Like, this kid is already a multimillionaire. He's not going to have any problems.
Either way.
Like, why are you so...
Whether he plays or not.
You know, I think people should have been more focused on what are they doing? Mm-hmm. What's going on in their life? And the other thing I didn't like is people, especially black people, act like something's been done to them personally.
Yeah. I didn't get my 40 acres and a mule, so Shedeur should play at the NFL. Like, what?
No, not even that. It's like, why are you complaining? Like, the NFL, the guys who made the NFL, this is their league. This is their game.
They let you know that, too.
Yeah, it's theirs. And they've been around for a long time. They're the ones who branded it, marketed, did all this, and put all the money. They did the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
You just brought the sweat.
Yeah.
That's what you did. You're the labor force.
Yeah.
So quit complaining. If you don't like it, go build your own league, which you certainly can do. Why haven't, especially black people, done that? Go build your own league.
I think it's because of the level of risk it takes.
So you said Rock did that, right?
The Rock got into, what used to be the XFL, and he owns the whole league now.
Yeah.
And
Rock is smart.
He did that because he was one of the guys like Shedeur who he got drafted, but the Miami Dolphins didn't do him right, and his dreams got burst.
I don't know if they didn't do him right. I don't think he was good enough.
Yeah, I was trying to give him a little credit.
But it depends on where you are, too, because that's not always true, too, because if you know Brandon Marshall, who might be a Hall of Fame linebacker, he got cut 3 times.
You talking about the receiver?
Tall linebacker,
tall black
Brandon
dude.
Played for the Denver Broncos.
Oh, yeah. I know
he was cut 3 times.
Yeah.
But he had to go into an environment where he was appreciated.
Yeah.
So finally, he became a household name.
Yeah.
But he was cut 3 times. Now, he could have folded in, threw in the towel. But he said, I need to be in an environment where I'm appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was in this wrong team. Coaches didn't like him. They said, hey, you know what? This ain't for you. That's what the coach told him. This ain't for you.
And, a lot of guys have experienced that because
I think he was with either Carolina Panthers or...
You talking about Brandon Marshall? The black receiver?
Brandon Marshall. I think he was a linebacker.
Brandon Marshall is the one who is... Fact check us for us, what our producers over here. Brandon Marshall, because he owns a podcast right now, actually. It's called I Am Athlete. I think he's the wide receiver. I seen him at Super Bowl. Tall black dude.
He was in
got
the Super Bowl.
Dreads. Fact checks has come in. I won that one.
Okay.
Yes. He was a wide receiver, and he actually has a podcast now, and he's building platforms. I'm glad you brought him up. He's building platforms for black men and people who need ownership but need distribution, and he's creating something. I think it's called I Am Athlete, and he's signing podcasts just like this to come in and create more things. But to your point, he did get cut a lot, and he had to make a name for himself, and he is a Hall of Fame guy at this point.
Yeah.
And the great thing I love about that story is it was like hype versus personality. His personality was loud, but it was his skill. And nobody knew because they kept going off his personality. And I think that's the same thing that's happening with Shedeur. What do you feel like the influence of Deion's role in all of this? Because his hands isn't clean to this either.
Well, Deion did say that there's certain teams that he won't allow him to play for.
Yep.
So that lets you know right there, Deion understands that there's some organizations that maybe he felt wouldn't treat his son right. Maybe they were some racist owners, and he had dealing with them.
Which there are several.
Yeah. I mean, I can see him trying to protect his son, but at the same time, he has to let his son grow up and go through it and be a man.
Which is hard to do when you are in a position where if you can keep your son from having to go through some of the things that he's gone through, then why not try to do that?
I think that's the biggest mistake that parents make.
Yeah, I think it's our generation of parents. I call us the punk parent generation. We just punk and let our kids just be like, well, I want to go and be a race car driver. And they crash a car. Oh, it's okay. What else do we like do? I want to go do. And we don't give them the hard truth. Chris Rock said it best. You can be all you can be as long as they hire it. And we don't tell our kids the truth enough they feel like they can do whatever and not have any hard work. I don't know if you agree with that, but that was, maybe I felt that too much myself.
No. I do agree with that. No, I was going to go another angle. When I was growing up, parents would always say, I don't want my kids to suffer like I did.
I think that's a bad thing.
But these people turn out to be sensational people. So they may not have to go through the trauma that you went through.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But doesn't mean you shouldn't try to remove every obstacle
out of their way. Yeah.
And that's what parents have done, especially the last 30, 40 years. And that's why we talk about this weak society, this weak culture. Yeah. That's what breeded that.
Yeah.
And even now, parents are still protecting their kids. But we always see before, though, like, wealthy families, nepotism, they always, kind of, but
help
even though they're
along
in
the
power,
way.
they're still soft. They're still weak.
Yeah. They can't handle rejection, adversity, or being in a position where, like, when I was living in LA and I moved from Kansas City and drove 200 miles, I was probably longer than that. Actually, it was like 700 miles to LA from Kansas City with $200 in my pocket. I got homeless at one point because I was trying to grind, but I chased a dream to want to do stuff like this. My mom and them was like, okay, if you're going to do it, you just let me know if you need food. But that's it.
You got to mail you a sandwich?
No, what she would do is help me order pizza or something. Like, all right, I'll order you a pizza. But it wasn't like, hey, here go groceries. Here go this, here go that. Yeah. It was, you good? Are you alive? Do you have somewhere to sleep? You got your car? Okay, cool. She didn't know I was sleeping in my car at one point, but I slept in my car. I slept in trucks for about a week. And I learned that, this is not for the weak. You can't just jump and do stuff without having a plan.
Being homeless actually does teach you something.
Yeah.
And because I've been homeless, but I was young.
See, I was 25.
Yeah, well, I was 17. So 25 is different.
Yeah.
I
was like supposed to be further in life in my mind, but I wanted to trace my journey.
You could handle yourself a little
Yes, better. I agree. Yeah.
Than being like a young, impressionable kid.
True.
But Shedeur Sanders didn't have to go through none of that.
Yeah. Basically,
he
was given opportunity.
He was born into wealth.
True.
With his dad, or rich, I should say. And then he made his own money through NIL deals.
Yeah, he's worth somewhere around $10 million in pre-NFL money, no NFL money.
Yeah.
So I think
that'll be interesting to see, though, if he can, because it's different when you're hungry.
So that's the part that I was talking about with the skill versus the hype. Can he ball, but will he be a person that is willing to do things that are what most NFL guys who come from college who have nothing and they grind to get a check.
Yeah.
He got the check now. So now it's like, can you win and can you play?
Yeah, is he comfortable?
Or
does he want to eat, or is he hungry? Do you want to eat?
Because if you're hungry, it's different. When you want to eat, you just keep eating. You're already full.
You're not hungry. But someone who's hungry, that's a different animal.
They hitting you harder. You get hit by somebody that's hungry versus somebody who wants to eat is a whole different thing. I love the story of Patrick Mahomes, man. His mom and dad, they came from a little bit of nothing. And when he was drafted, 17 teams was like, nah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. The Bills traded their pick to the Chiefs. And Andy Reid looked at the tape and was like, this guy's still available? Put him in, drafted him. He stayed under Alex Smith at that time, who mentored him the entire 2 years. Alex got hurt. Pat got in the game the first time.
That explains why he's a winner. And it shows. You can see he has a chip on his shoulder.
He was a first-round draft pick, but was willing to be a backup, to now being a franchise, just signed a $600 million 10-year deal. He's set for life. So that's the part of where I feel like with Shedeur, that I'm kind of worried about. The NFL's gatekeeping, I do feel like they looked at his net worth and they were like, nah, we're going to make it hard for this dude. We're going to let him be, what was it, the 142nd pick?
Well, hopefully that created a chip on his shoulder.
And created a hunger.
Well, yeah.
Hunger.
So they could work out to be a good thing.
That's true. So the media machine behind Deion and Shedeur being like the first father and son marketing dynasty, do you feel like they're the first father and son dynasty in sports?
Well, LeBron and his son just.
They're not a dynasty. Yeah.
No. Well, neither is Deion.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's a good point.
Ain't no dynasty.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right about that because LeBron, Bronny had a lot of NIL money, and they felt like he was giving.
Oh, he was.
He was. He was because LeBron was like, "Yo, go draft my son."
Yeah.
Like as a father should. Come on, man. If I was in that position and my son can hoop,
we just said we babying the kids.
Yeah, I know, man. But see how quick I was willing to do it for my son because I was thinking about how can I make him successful versus how can he earn his own success.
And that's the
catch-22. So will he go on to be top 5 or will he be a blackballed player like Colin Kaepernick?
No,
he's not as iconic as that.
No, it's a whole different situation.
Yeah, that's true. You got to do, but it's still collusion. It's still NFL owners getting on that call together saying, "Don't draft him. Don't draft him. Don't draft him." He's going
to get his shot.
He got his shot,
and when he get his shot, he's either going to perform or he's not.
Is he on the best team?
That's it.
Or you feel like the Browns is a worse team?
And I don't know. I don't definitely. I don't get into it all like that because when people ask me, Fonz, who's your team?
Yeah,
I was like, none. I don't get a check from nobody.
I am.
So that's
Chiefs
the whole
fan.
thing where I'm like you could be interested, but stop being so
vested. See, me, I work for some of the guys and I'm a part of some of the things the Chiefs organization do. So I'm very well vested and that's my hometown.
Well,
so
that's different,
it affects my bag in some way. So I'm kind of like, I want to see the success, but at the same time,
I want to see the success too. But Shedeur, if he play a snap or not,
it ain't gonna affect
no
you.
bearing on me.
Yeah.
Like, go do your thing, man.
So as this last part, we call it the hot takes. What's your any bold predictions for where and what he will do in the NFL?
No.
My bold prediction is I feel like Shedeur is going to make a splash in this year's NFL season and become.
He's not going to make a splash this year.
So for me, when
he
I
might
say
not even play,
a splash is like there's going to be something that happens in the Cleveland Browns organization where he will get a shot and he will show glimmers of what the scouts who really wanted to draft him see.
I think he'll do that because he's a decent player. He comes from pedigree.
Yep.
Where he's been, groomed for this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's gonna. But is he gonna go win a Super Bowl? I mean, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. That would be a story that you couldn't write.
I don't know if it'll happen, but if it did, hey, congratulations.
We couldn't have done this Rivals podcast without talking about a today topic, and I felt like that was just something we needed to touch on. Once again, man, we thank you guys for watching. Make sure you share, subscribe, and tune into the episodes. I hope this is impactful. Like every single episode we always do, we always talk about what the takeaway is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this takeaway for me was perception is reality, and sometimes what perceives to be one thing may not be, but we also got to give people chances. And this is his opportunity, Shedeur, to take his chance and do something with it. So in this episode, I would just like to say to that person that's watching this, I'll look in that camera. If you're thinking about taking that chance or hesitant about taking that chance, let this be an example that it doesn't matter who pushes you. If you don't do anything to move forward to that step, then you'll be in that same position. So take that chance, whatever that looks like. You got any? I need a deep thought one. He's like the Russell Simmons. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless.
Well, I'd like to throw out this topic. I'm like, hey.
It is what it is.
We're too invested with Shedeur.
Yeah.
Shedeur got his thing going on.
Yeah.
Like,
you go get your thing.
Get
That's
your
good.
thing going on.
That's good.
Stop worried about these celebrities. Get your thing going on.
There it is.
Do you.
You're from Fonzie B and Chef Kev. Thank y'all for watching this episode. See y'all in the next one.